Hi YouTube, it's Kathy and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for February 4th through 10th. This week I read 2 books, I watched 1 show, and I listened to 1 book. Usual apologies about there being sounds in the background. Literally just as I was sitting down to film and I pressed the button to start filming, I got a knock on the door for housekeeping, which I had to turn away, and now she's next door. So if you can hear anything, that's what's happening. Also, we're in Bayeux, which is in the north of France, and is lovely. I'll show you a view from just outside of our window. It's very nice. It's also much slower paced than Paris, so we've really been relaxing and taking it slowly and just doing like 1 interesting thing a day, which has been kind of lovely actually. We're here for another week and then we go to the port city for a couple of days and then we're actually taking a ferry to the UK. First this week, because I really wanted to get something from Shakespeare and Company while we were in Paris, and I knew that a very stereotypical and lovely thing to get would be a copy of The Little Prince. That's what I read this week. I even modeled it next to the water wheel here in Bayeux. This is a book that I've read before. I've also seen the movie with Gene Wilder and Bob Fosse and whoever else was in that movie, because honestly those are the ones that I remember. And it just seemed like a good idea to read this children's classic while I was in France. It just seemed like a good idea, and I found a really pretty edition of it, so why not? The Little Prince is a children's book about this man who, when he was a child, drew a couple of things and the adults really didn't understand what they were. So he would use this as kind of a litmus test with other people to be like, is this person really interesting and cool, or does this person just see this really basic thing that all adults seem to see? And if they were the latter, he would just talk to them about like accounting and sports and stuff. But if he were ever to find somebody who actually saw what he drew for what it was, he wanted to talk to those people because he figured those people were interesting. In any case, he finds himself crashed in the middle of the Sahara desert and is just trying to fix his plane when all of a sudden this little character comes up to him, and this character is nicknamed the Little Prince. At no point does he actually ask his name, which I found a little bit weird, but here we are. And while he's trying to fix his plane, the Little Prince is asking him to do things like draw him a sheep, and then also telling him basically his life story about the planet that he left that is very, very small. It has 3 volcanoes, 2 of them are active and 1 of them is dormant, although you never know. And on that planet he also had this rose, and he decided to leave this rose. And now he's kind of worried about whether or not the rose made it without him. It is kind of a nonsensical kid's story. There are some very beautiful lines in it. For example, my best friend actually has one of those lines tattooed on her body, so like, it's a big deal. People really love this book, but if you just read it as an adult, you're like, okay, but plot? And also, that ending. How do people feel about that ending? Let me know about it down in the comments below. The other book that I read this week is Second Chances in Newport Stephen. This one I picked up because it's both a romance and our main character is trans mask, and that hit 2 bingo board squares on the Read Queer All Year bingo board, which I definitely forgot to post in my community tab as soon as the month ticked over, so I'm really sorry about that, but it is there now and I always post it on the Instagram, and when I remember that X is a thing, I also remember to post it there. But yeah, as soon as that logo switched over to X and I didn't understand what X was, I deleted that app from my phone, and honestly I'm happier for it. In any case, our main character in this one is a man named Eli. He's originally from Florida, but he's living in New York and he's making it, or trying to make it, as a comedy writer. He's also trans, but he didn't figure that out until his late 20s or early 30s, and at this point in the story I believe he's about 38, which means he's around my age. In any case, he finds himself going back to his small town for the Christmas season for pretty much the first time since he left, and definitely the first time since he transitioned. On the one hand, he's doing this to visit his family and do all of those things, but also he's doing it because he's subletting his apartment, because the main guy on the show he was writing on got caught doing bad things, and basically that means that everybody who was in his writer's room is now persona non grata, whereas that guy is gonna make a comeback after being like, oh, people canceled me, and then he's gonna be completely fine, which is just so annoying. So while Eli is looking for a job and putting feelers out there, he's back, he's doing Christmas. There's some tension about being back in his family home because there's still a bunch of pictures from when he was a child back in this home, those types of things. While he's there, he also runs into Nick Wu, who was his high school boyfriend. Nick doesn't immediately recognize him. They haven't connected in a really, really long time, basically since high school, even though their parents sometimes see each other because it's a small town, so they kind of talk to each other, but their parents don't talk to each other about each other's kids, if that makes any sense. So after a brief moment of, oh wait, okay, what do I call you now? And that, in the liquor store, they reconnect and some things go on, some second chances are had. This was pretty lovely. I really enjoyed that these characters have had so much time apart but also have this attraction to each other and this shared history, and also just seeing the fact that like Nick is a dad and all of these different things. It was a really lovely story. I very much enjoyed it. While I was talking, my tiny coffee got cold. I'm just gonna finish it and put this down. If you've been watching these weekly wrap-ups recently, you probably know what the show I watched this week was. It was Taskmaster. We finished the 12th season, we watched the entire 13th season, and we watched the first 7 episodes of the 14th season, which means we're pretty close to being done what there is for the UK seasons, but there's like an Australian one, there's a Dutch one, there's a bunch of other ones, so we will probably move on to watching the English-speaking versions of those, because why not? It's a fun format. I really enjoy it. 5 comedians just trying to do ridiculous tasks, and us just laughing about the experience and the jokes. And it's always so interesting because at the end of a season we're always like, okay, we're gonna start the next season, and initially we're gonna feel really weird about it because it's new people and we don't know how they feel about them, but like by 2 or 3 episodes in, we love those comedians as though they're our adopted children and we just want them to do well. I know I've mentioned this before, but if you have never seen the show and you want to see the show, all of the episodes are on YouTube. You can just go to their YouTube channel and just watch the show. It's wonderful. The audiobook I listened to this week is Freedom is a Constant Struggle by Angela Y. Davies. This is a compilation of interviews and speeches that she's given, and it was published almost a decade ago. So listening to it now, it both feels a little bit dated and then also like it was written yesterday because these problems still persist and there's still things that need to be addressed. And yeah, you can get a sense of, wow, really nothing has changed over a decade, which can hurt your heart a little bit. All of these interviews and speeches are basically around the concepts of freedom and how we are not all free until everyone is free, and the different movements around the world to do with freedom. And at times it's felt a little bit inside baseball, as though you would get a little bit more out of it if you knew a little bit more about all the specific things she's talking about. And at the same time, it's also a great starting point because you'll be listening and you'll be like, I don't understand exactly what she's referencing, and then you'll be prompted to go look it up yourself, which is an important thing to do because you don't know what you don't know until someone tells you what you don't know, and then you learn about it. As a side note, I always feel weird talking about these types of books because I know I'm never going to have anything super insightful to say about them, but I want to be able to say something insightful about them, and it's just a weird place to be in, because obviously I agree with the premises she's put forth that people should not be ruled by racist regimes, and the system is broken, we need to fix the system, and there's tons of systems that need to be fixed, and people should have freedom, and they shouldn't be discriminated against just because of who they are, where they come from, or what their sexuality is, or any of those things. And I agree with all of those things, and I don't know what else to say besides like, free Palestine, stop being racist, we need to change the systems. But I'm one person and I don't know how to help other than doing that. So yeah, just keep doing research, continually learn, and we will try to figure this out as much as we can as society goes on. That's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you happen to be on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that, as always, is down below. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!